You're good.
Yeah.
Good evening. Today is January 28th, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. This is the regular meeting of the Oak Lawn Board of Trustees, meeting number 2014-02. Please take the roll.
President Barry?
Here.
Trustee Quinlan?
Here.
Trustee Olenichek?
Here.
Trustee Desmond?
Here.
Trustee Carberry?
Here.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
And Trustee Strike?
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We're moving on to public comments today. We're going to start with Mr. Ron Kapp talking about various village matters. And we're keeping comments to 3 minutes, please.
Okay.
And are you an Oak Lawn resident, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
46 years.
Wonderful.
At the last meeting, I mentioned about the snow plowing, and a couple trustees took it that I was talking about the snowplow drivers themselves. I wasn't. I was talking about the lack of snow that they were able, or the lack of salt that they were able to distribute. Whoever bought the salt must be from Florida, probably Miami, where 400,000 tons would last them for forever. That was something I got very teed off about because I used to drive a snowplow, and I know they have a little bit of snow that's left on the street after the plow goes over, because if you put your plow blade on the street, it's going to get broken. So it's got to be a little bit above the street level. The next thing, are the treasurer and the assistant treasurer here tonight? Because I'd like to find, other than the fact that they made a contribution to your campaign and furnished labor, what other qualifications do they have?
At the end of your 3 minutes, we'll go ahead and let him get into that.
Okay. And the other thing is I'd like to find out when you are going to start being fair and treat all the trustees the same. Mm-hmm. Like at the last meetings, Trustee Strike started to say something, you gavelled them and told Olenichek to make a motion, and this was on the new business thing. And if that, I've seen it where trustee was talking, he was interrupted by Trustee Straight, bang, bang, bang. Trustee Straight, you don't interrupt Trustee Desmond when he's talking. Now, if you're going to be fair about it. That's, it's just, you can't go along being unfair all the time. And then one other thing that, I'll forget it, I'll bring it up next meeting. Oh yeah, the taxes, I got my tax bill yesterday, as most of us did. How come this village only has enough money to pay 60, I think it was 68 point something % of the retirement for village employees? Is there, are people taking money out of their retirement fund that they have in the village to use for other purposes? I'd like to find out about that also. It kind of bothered me when I saw that on my tax bill. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Kapp, just to answer a couple of your questions off the bat. The salt was purchased in March of 2013. It had nothing to do with most of the people sitting up here today. The tax things I'm going to let be answered by our professionals if they have the data at their disposal. And Pat, our treasurer.
Madam Mayor, I think that's public record already.
Okay.
I don't think he needs to
Okay.
explain himself, but I think it's public record already. I think we can help the gentleman get the information, but we don't need to get into that right now.
I would just throw in there that I just strongly agree with him that we should be putting more into the pensions. That's exactly what we've been trying to do over the last sort of 8 months. So there's a strong disagree there. As far as my own background, I'll go first and you go next? Sure. Okay, so I graduated UIC. I don't know how much detail. I'm going to take 1 minute or 30 seconds or less. Went to UIC, got a degree in electrical engineering with a special specialty in semiconductor physics. I went from there, focused, and did fault-tolerant operating systems for the Rockwell International for a couple of years, then moved on and did design work for basically designing front office systems for trading systems for equities, foreign exchange, and bond systems downtown. Was purchased by a bunch of different banks, changed their names a bunch of different times, ended up at an investment bank where I became the CIO for that investment bank for the last 6 years. Is that enough?
You're a braggart, Pat.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Okay, next, public,
Just kidding.
Does he, my background,
And he's not my assistant.
my title's a finance director, and I came here, it's now about 6 years ago. My background is I graduated from Notre Dame in 1980, went to Northwestern for my MBA, graduated in 1991, and have spent most of my career at Fruit of the Loom as the treasurer and ultimately the CFO. So while I came here without a lot of municipal background, I think what we've tried to do, and I couldn't agree with Pat more, I think we agree that 68% is not the number that we'd like to see in our pension funds. And one of the things we're going to show later is one of the strategies that we have to try to build that number up. But I also want to point out that on that bill, the village's percentage was higher than almost everyone else on that bill. So anyway, we will get into the whole pension issue later on this evening.
Braggart.
I don't even blame this board.
okay,
You guys
we're
haven't
gonna,
been in there long enough to screw things up.
we're gonna move on with our public comments. Elizabeth McCarthy, she's talking about the 911, I assume center. And
Yes.
are you an Oakland resident?
No,
Okay, thank you.
sure. My name is Elizabeth McCarthy. I'm one of the 14 dispatchers that was fired on last Tuesday. I'm just here to clarify a few things for everyone. First and foremost is that we as a collective unit did not agree to this settlement with the village. I'm sure that the village manager is going to try and sell to all of you that this was some wondrous agreement between the dispatchers and the village and that everyone is happy and pleased. That is 100% false. This labor dispute was settled solely between the village and our union. It was not a vote, and each and every one of us were blindsided the following morning after the labor meeting with the decision. I'm here because it's vital to all of our supporters that they understand that we in no way voted on or agreed to this. I am here to tell the residents and every police officer and firefighter that came out and stood with us that we never agreed to anything. I want to make this clear to all of you and alleviate any doubt that you may have. This was in no way a choice that the dispatchers made. Second, I'm disappointed in the village making us feel like we actually had a shot at keeping our jobs. We were told to drive out to Elmhurst for testing, then again for interviews. It's now crystal clear that myself and those who voiced any kind of opinion or have even dedicated 25 years of their life to this village never stood a chance. Originally, the village told us that most of us would be retained. That was a lie. 5 people out of 19 were kept. The rest, now you've got a center staffed with brand new people that are part-time who know next to nothing of what goes on in that room. The village was promised 23 full-time members by Norcom. They've got 5. Director Hansen made the choice not to rehire qualified, experienced, and dedicated employees because of her own insecurities for failing the center. She is the reason that it failed, not me, and certainly not my coworkers, the police officers, the firemen, the residents, or the budget. This was never a budget issue. This was bad management at its finest. Kathy took a highly qualified center that was regarded, or a highly qualified and regarded center, and sunk the center and all of its employees.
I can't allow personal attacks
Okay.
during a board meeting, especially
I
with
was-
respect to employees.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was disgusted to hear that last Tuesday night, after 14 people had been fired, that the village manager, the mayor, the director, and the team leaders openly celebrated their win in the radio room, shaking hands and congratulating each other while 14 people just lost their livelihood. I'm not here out of spite or anger. I'm here because I believe in truth and honesty. Watching when my grandfather was mayor for years, he always led by example. He put the residents' safety and their well-being above all else. Personal gain was never a thought. He was not the type of man to celebrate in the face of failure and deceit, especially at the loss of honest, hardworking employees that have dedicated themselves to the pursuit of helping others. To be honest, I'm relieved to be free of the stress that Kathy and the center has brought to my life the last year and a half. I love my job. But watching the center crumble under her management is an atrocity. It's
Again,
a
no
train wreck.
personal attacks, please.
Oh, sorry, okay. The support of those who actually know what we do means more to all of us than the opinion or personal issues with the village manager or the director, and what they carry within themselves that would cause them to believe that firing the best people in the business would somehow be beneficial to the residents of this great town.
Thank you. And Lori, I can't quite read your name, Sipranowski?
My name is Lori Sipranowski. I am not an Oak Lawn resident.
Thank you.
Until last week, I was a 20-year veteran dispatcher, proudly, of Oak Lawn Central Dispatch, and I was laid off as well. Anything I say is not going to make a difference. What's done is done. The damage is done. It's been heard that as a group, as a radio room of 911 operators, we have all agreed on this so-called settlement, and that is not true. We did not. So it shows you cannot always believe what you hear from people that are allowed to speak publicly. As a resident of Bridgeview, a town that this 911 center dispatches for, I'm concerned for the safety of my family. If I need to call for an ambulance for my daughter, my kitchen's on fire, somebody's breaking into my home, I'm no longer confident with the level of expertise of the people that are handling these calls. Speaking to the police officers for all the towns that we dispatch for, Burbank, Bridgeview, Evergreen Park, Oak Lawn, they have said many mistakes are being made and not being corrected, and they also are concerned for the officer's safety, and it's being compromised. It was said that 7 to 9 dispatchers of all that tested and applied would be hired, and only 5 did, roughly with 3 with 5 years or less experience. So you basically have a full radio room in training at the same time. So again, not here to change what's happened, the damage is done. But we just don't want this to end on a lie, and we would like you to hear from us, because we were pretty much silenced at the end. So what's done is done, and we just wanted you to hear this. That's it.
Thank you. Amy Goldsmith. Hi, Amy. Are you an Oak Lawn resident?
I am.
Excellent, thank you.
I have been an Oak Lawn resident for 16 years and a dispatcher for the 12 years, the last 4.5 here in Oak Lawn, until last week when I was laid off. I would like to thank everyone who did support us and let them know that, again, we did not agree to the settlement between the village and the union. We had no say-so in it whatsoever. I also would like to say that 2 of the 5 that were continued on with the position with Norcom did have, well, 3 of the 5 had less than 4 years experience, 2 of which I trained. But yet when I received my email from Norcom stating that I was not allowed to continue on, that a position was not offered, that they had several qualified applicants, I was not one, but yet trained 2 that did continue on with less seniority than me. I just don't quite understand how the hiring process works, knowing that there are still so many new people in that room. And my concern as a resident is knowing that the level of expertise is not there, and that I really feel that our officers, citizens, neighbors, and friends are really going to suffer from what has taken place due to the decisions based on the village by letting us go.
Thank you. I just want to say in follow-up, thank you for coming. I wish you the best of luck. And on behalf of the board, I'm sure we would all agree we wish you the best. The village can't publicly talk about labor issues, but I do want to say these types of breakdown in communication, you know, I think are part of the reason for the problem. I've always felt we could communicate better. So that being said, you know, gonna move on. Donald Wilkinson.
Yes, I'm ready. Moving on.
Okay. Hello, I'm Donald Wilkinson. I am not a resident of Oak Lawn. I'm a former resident, though, that has lived in the area of hometown and Oak Lawn all of my adult life. I live in Oak Forest currently. My daughter, granddaughter, actually she's like my daughter, was Kayla Lentine, who everybody is aware on the council, was killed in an accident at Southwest Highway and Cicero in May of 2012. My daughter, Krista, and I are here. We want to gratefully thank the mayor and the village for moving quickly with the proposed changes that you're looking at right now on Southwest Highway and Cicero to try and improve the intersection for all pedestrians and traffic. We were approached initially when we first started coming to City Hall by many people from the area who had either lost loved ones or had people that were in traffic or pedestrian accidents over the last 30 or 40 years at that intersection. And the way it has existed has been kind of a nightmare. It's an extremely long way to cross. It's 108 feet if you were to compare it to the intersection of 95th and Cicero. It's about 40% farther to cross. Some of the proposed changes now will shorten that distance and will improve the intersection greatly. One of the areas that we wanted to address tonight was the addition of speed cameras. Or red light cameras. One of the things that happens with there's one at 95th and Cicero now. When you put these red light cameras in, you get the people that are abusers or chronic speeders. They will go to other streets to avoid those intersections because they want to speed. They're always in a hurry or running late or whatever. We have noticed and have done quite a bit of observation on Southwest Highway and Cicero since we go through here all the time, and we actually purchased a Bushnell speed gun, and over the last 20 months we've done quite a bit of work watching the traffic, and frequently traffic speeds at 30 to 50% in excess of the speed limit on a regular basis. Some people going in excess of 50 miles an hour every third or fourth light cycle, traveling through the intersection eastbound during rush hour, and in the evening coming home from rush hour. Those are the two critical times of the day when the intersection is the most unsafe. The intersection appears to be safer on the slower parts of the day because there are far fewer cars and people are in less of a hurry. So what we'd like to advocate for, in addition to the changes that you're proposing, which are great, and we thank you, is the possibility of adding either a red light camera to that intersection or a speeding camera. To the Oaklawn Police, like all the other police departments, everybody's budgets are tight, it's hard, they can't patrol. It used to be a speed trap and people used to slow down there. You can't do it anymore. Just we don't have the resources. But we do have the technology today that can do these things for us and can also raise revenues for the city, and will slow down and stop these abusers and I'm sure prevent other accidents, pedestrian and traffic-wise as well in the future. And I'd like you to consider that also with the proposals that you're considering now with IDOT. And thank you again for including us.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is it for the public comments, correct, Jane? Okay. I'd like to call Mr. Brian Costin to the podium. And Josh, I understand you have a little bit to do there. Josh is going to pass out some things. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. I'm tall, so can you hear me? All right. My name is Brian Costin, and I am the Director of Government Reform at the Illinois Policy Institute. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And one of the issues that's very near and dear to our heart is online transparency of local government entities. So back in 2010, we created a 10-point transparency checklist that we recommend local governments to adopt, and that includes things such as contact information for elected officials, meeting information, Freedom of Information Act requests, budget audits, expenditures, employee compensation, lobbying, taxes, and contracts. And so since 2010, we've been going around and looking at websites across the state, and we created a Sunshine Award, which I'm here to present to the Village of Oak Lawn. To put that in perspective, to get the Sunshine Award, you need an 80% or better on our checklist, and we've only had 52 local governments across the state of Illinois who have earned this award, and that's out of more than, or almost 7,000. So that's less than 1 in 100 local government agencies have achieved this honor. And I wanted to present this award to the mayor in regards to our appreciation for doing such a great job in regards to online transparency.
We have a pair for you, sir.
Fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is a first, so.
Well, this is a very special thing for all of Oak Lawn. I want to thank the residents who supported this change. I want to thank the village staff. Josh, you and your team, can't thank you enough for the hard work to make it real. The village board members who supported transparency to this level. I love that it's one of the coldest days of the year, and we're talking sunshine in Oak Lawn. And could I get a group shot with the board with sunglasses? Anyone have an interest in coming up for a group shot?
Let's go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Tom, Joanne?
Do you want to stand in front over there?
Why don't we stand center? Okay.
Stand center.
Okay. Well, come on. Guys.
Wait, you want some beads?
Get in there.
I'm not wearing glasses
Shocked out. I would only do this for Oak Lawn.
Okay.
Gotta do beads though.
We still have a lot more work to do.
Oh, Brian,
All right.
I was so excited I forgot to give you
Grandson.
some Oak Lawn flashlights to shine the light.
Oh, thank you.
And
So I could dig it.
little
Very
sunshine
fitting.
momentum.
Very.
Thank you. Okay.
How old is he? How old?
Okay, thank you so much for making the trip out. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is a request to approve the Germanizing Race 5K Run Walk for April 12th, 2014, starting at 9 o'clock a.m.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve that race.
Properly moved by trustee Warder, seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion on this item?
Nettie from St. Germain is over here.
Would you like to say a few words?
Hopefully it goes as good as last.
Come on up to the podium and state your name if you could.
Antoinette Kestner,
Okay.
and I'm from St. Germain, and thank you for all the village support for the race.
We hope it's wildly successful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Trustee Warder, I would like to move your remarks under new business up on the agenda. May I have a motion, please, to do that?
Motion.
That was
Alex.
trustee Oliniechek, properly moved, seconded by trustee Quinlan. Please call the roll.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Straight?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Warder, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I wish to take a little block of my time to recognize a long Oak Lawn resident who passed away last month. Lived in Oak Lawn in District 4, my district, for more than 50 years. Mr. Richard Gumber and his family his family is here. Would you step up to the podium? Madam President, would you please read this proclamation as the mayor of Oak Lawn for us? You have it? Oh, it's up there.
So nice to meet you. Thank you. So nice to meet you. We all look like family. This is a proclamation for Richard Gumber. Whereas Richard Gumber was born in Chicago in 1924 and grew up in the West Lawn on the south side,